cost advantage. So these kind of benefits are there. So talking from the employees front point, that is the first thing. Apart from that, if you are a developing company or if you are a software development company, okay. So if you are focusing on developing a product, so those kind of companies, instead of maintaining their infrastructure, they will be having a lot of servers. They will be having a lot of if they maintain their own infrastructure, they will have to spend a lot of amount on that. Yeah. So these kind of companies, if they move their infra to cloud, their advantage is they can focus on their main business point, that is developing their product. And the rest of the things will be taken care by cloud. For example, if it is Azure, Microsoft will be taking care of their infrastructure. Yeah. And the other thing is companies doesn't want to invest more on their hardwares or infrastructure. So if it is again coming back to a product development company, if they are having an e-commerce product, for example, if it is like Amazon, there will be in specific periods like Amazon, Flipkart and all, there will be during certain period of time in a month. 1 second, Guru. Ignatius has joined in the other link. I'm just asking him to join in that. Okay. 1 second.
So meanwhile, guys, like any of you have the work experience or hands-on with cloud computing? Have you guys had a chance to work with any of these, either AWS, Azure, or DigitalOcean? Anyone? No. Okay. But you are aware of cloud computing, right? What it is?
Yeah, heard about it, but not too much.
Great. So in that case, this session will be very much useful to you. They are going to start with the basics of cloud computing and then shift it to Azure. Azure is, in a way, you can say a flavor or infrastructure, as Ajish mentioned, from Microsoft.
Okay.
So finally, Ignatius joined.
Yeah, he's finally here. Hi, Ignatius.
Hello everyone, and apologies for the delay. Actually, I'm so sorry to travel.
No worries. Well, first of all, thank you very much for making your time to join and helping us understand about cloud computing and Azure. So really though, thank you very much. So so far we have been talking with Ajish here. Ajish here was explaining us what you do and about your expertise and what we are going to be looking forward as part of this session. So yeah, Ignatius, I think
Ignatius,
Ignatius, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right though.
Yes, it's absolutely correct. Again, so thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And again,
Ignatius, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So Guru, thanks for setting the context. Ignatius, I'll just brief about the context of this call. So this team who has joined here, they want to know what cloud is all about.
Okay.
What are the basically they want to know. Most of them are new to cloud. Okay. So you have to start from what is cloud and what are the different benefits of moving to cloud. They are these people who have joined here, the team, they want to pursue a career in cloud. They want to understand about cloud. What is Azure? What are the different services and benefits of Azure? So how can they pursue some career? And if they have any doubts, we can discuss that and you can clear those doubts as well. So that is the main agenda of this call. Over to you, Ignatius.
Sure, Ajay. So thank you so much for the brief introduction. And again, I believe this to be an interactive session. So like if there are any queries or at any even minor queries are really welcome. So again, just give me a minute. I'll just present my screen. Just a minute.
Yes, team. So if you have any doubts, even if it is a small doubt or if it is any kind of doubt, please ask. This is a platform for you to clear all your doubts regarding cloud. So let's make it interactive, as Ignatius mentioned.
So just let me know if the screen is visible, and I hope I'm audible enough. And if there is any background noise, please don't hesitate to interrupt and let me know. Okay, and yeah, is the screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible for me. What about others? It's visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so before diving deep into the concept of cloud computing, let's just understand what exactly is a cloud. Now, like you must be having your own office infrastructure where there are multiple devices that are connected to each other, be it your PCs, your database servers, your end users, your mobile devices. So all of these form a specific network. So cloud computing is nothing but a representation or a lift and shift of this network to the cloud, basically over public internet. Now we can connect to this cloud, like this network, via a VPN or via a VPN, or directly through the public internet, or we can set up multiple endpoints to it. And moving ahead with cloud computing is nothing but there are a lot of resources on a cloud, such as virtual machines, and I believe there is someone waiting in the lobby. Yes. So cloud computing, it's basically the manipulating, configuring, and accessing whatever hardware or software resources that we have provisioned. And it basically offers us with a lot of online data storage, an online infrastructure, and an application building. So the major beauty of cloud computing is it gives you platform independency. So I'll talk about platform independence in the later slide. And it's as simple as look, like whatever software services that are there, we are trying to access it over the public internet. Just a minute. Yeah. So whenever you host something on your infrastructure, on your own premises, or let's say in your office, there are a lot of parameters, or a lot of troubles that we have to go through as an IT person, which includes maintaining the proper hardware, like training the proper IT personnel to use the specific hardware, and also making sure that this hardware is running 24/7. So again, there is an electricity cost, and again there is also a proper training cost, and again electricity, and along with that we have networking costs. So this is just a primary cost. There is also a secondary cost, which we also refer it to as an ongoing cost. So let's say if you are running a software in your own premises, then you have to, obviously, since it's a software, you have to do a lot of bug fixing. You have to do a patches. You have to do multiple upgrades. And again, the upgrades are also on the hardware side. So let's say currently, if you're running on an i5 processor, obviously 4 to 5 years down the line, the processor is going to be obsolete, where it's there might be some slowdowns, or you need to upgrade your RAM, or you need to swap a new hard drive. So what happens over there, you have to go through a lot of troubles, where you have to firstly shut down the machines, and then also you have to make sure that you you know purchase a compatible hardware, make sure all the just allow me a second. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah, I was talking about the upgrade. So again, there are a lot of troubles that we have to go through, making sure that the hardware that we purchase are compatible to everything, each and every components. And again, when we talk about software, we also have to make sure that the software is compatible, proper patches and proper updates are applied. So it becomes a lot of trouble to maintain on a on-premises level, or on in your office. So what happens is, whatever business model that you're running, whatever software that you are developing, in a lot of cases, actually in most of the cases, what happens is the focus really shifts from improving the software or improving the quality of your business to just making sure that everything is up and running. So that becomes a major flaw in the business, because anyways, our end goal should be improving whatever product that we are developing or improving whatever business model that we are running, instead of just making sure that it is available or it is running 24/7. So this is where cloud computing comes into picture, where like most of the troubles that I spoke about, such as maintaining the hardware, making sure that everything is readily available, most of these troubles are taken care by a cloud provider by a cloud provider. So you, in the end, need to just use the specific software, or it is as similar as renting a specific hardware, which actually makes sense, because in today's world, obviously, we purchase any tech product just to use it for a some certain intervals. For example, even if we are using a cell phone today, 4 to 5 years down the line, obviously we are going to buy a new one. Correct. So just because it degrades over the time. So instead of that, what we are doing, instead of owning a specific hardware, we are just renting the specific hardware until like till the time we need it. And even if you want to upgrade a specific hardware or anything, or any service, that can happen in a minute. So this is where cloud computing comes into the picture, because here we just go ahead with a subscription model, where we just we just pay what we are using instead of owning something. And we have three basic models in cloud computing. The first model is the infrastructure as a service. Now, when I talk about infrastructure as a service, um, so whatever bare metal requirements that we have, such as our servers and storage, our networking, firewall and security, and our data centers. So whatever bare metal requirements that we have are provided by the cloud provider. Next one is a platform as a service, which really enhances the capability of cloud computing. So what happens over here is we are given with some additional tools, like all the features that were incorporated in infrastructure as a service is given in the platform as a service, along with some operating system and some development tools. The third one is a software as a service. Now, software as a service is very simple. It is just a centrally hosted software for your end users. So prime examples of these are, Office 365, if you have heard, or like whatever cloud-based apps such as Office 365, even Teams, we consider it as a software as a service, because here we just use the specific software. We don't rely, or we don't do any installation of Teams on our server. We just purchase the license of it, and then we are good to go. Any queries till now? Are there any queries or some doubts?
If you feel like it is as fast or slow, or if you want to give any suggestions, or if you have any doubts, you can voice out.
Yeah, guys,
Do
please
anything.
do ask. Even if you think it is a silly thing to ask, don't hesitate. Don't hold back. Please do ask, because we are all learning, and even Ignatius knows that we are beginner in the cloud computing, right? So he'll be happy to answer all your doubts. Please do ask if you have any.
Okay, so I'll just continue ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, comparing these cloud models. So whenever we are hosting something on our premises or in our office infrastructure, we have to take care of a lot of stuff, such as the networking, obviously, the storage, the servers, the virtualizations, the operating system we have to purchase, the middleware and the runtime on if we are developing some application, that and its database. So when you talk about infrastructure as a service, here, as I mentioned, the bare metal requirements such as your networking, storage, servers, and whatever virtualization stuff that is required is provided by the vendor, and rest of the stuff provided by is taken care by you. Now, when you talk about platform as a service, a lot of stuff, like most of the stuff, is taken care by the vendor up till the runtime, and you only focus on the applications and your database. And when we talk about software as a service, like literally everything is taken care by the vendor itself. So let's have a simpler example. Let's talk about pizza as a service. So let's say if you're making something at home, again, you have to take care of a lot of, like, you have to obviously take care of the ingredients, the process, how it is cooked, and the environment where you want to serve it. So again, it becomes a lot of trouble. And when you talk about infrastructure as service, it is as similar as take and bake, where you just go outside to the market and purchase the products, like the required ingredients, and then later rest of the stuff you take care of it. Sorry, one second. Yeah. And when we talk about platform as service, here it is as similar as ordering it from outside, where everything is taken care by the vendor. You just take care, like you just serve it in your own environment. It is as simple as getting it delivered at your place. And when we talk about software as service, it is as similar as just dining outside, where you just go outside and consume the specific service. I hope like we didn't get hungry now because it's evening time. So again, comparing these, when you talk about infrastructure as service, it basically gives you flexibility, because here you have the total control over the hardware which is provided to you, and you can configure and manage according to your own applications that you are running. And when you talk about platform as a service, here it gives you productivity. Like here you can really enable your own productivity, because as I mentioned, the end goal should be improving the application or whatever like business model that you have. So that is provided by platform as a service, because here the users can really focus on their own application development, and the rest of the stuff is obviously managed by the cloud provider. And software as a service, as I mentioned, it is as similar as pay as you go, because again you just pay for the software that you're using according to the license. So any queries till now? Like, are there any queries? No queries, okay. Am I teaching that well? I think I'm doubtful. Okay, so moving ahead, we have three major cloud providers. We have AWS by Amazon, we have Microsoft Azure, and we have Google Cloud Platform. Now, each of these providers, they provide a lot of services, like depending on the requirements. So when you talk about the virtual machines, AWS provides EC2 instances, Azure provides virtual machines, and Google Cloud Platform, it provides VM instances. So depending on these, there are a lot of services, such as if you have heard about this Kubernetes, and if you have heard about like app services, web applications. So all of these services are provided, even the database. So all of this, like there are a lot of there are a plethora of services that are provided by each of these cloud providers. So today we'll try to just focus on the Azure part, because we at Crayon we mostly provide services on AWS and Azure, since GCP is not incorporated in India with Crayon yet. Moving ahead with the before moving ahead with the core components of Azure, again, there are any queries, please let us know.
Guys, please do respond. Yes, no, anything.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
What about the free cloud storage platforms that are given?
Okay, so again, that was a really nice question. So each of these cloud providers, they provide us some sort of credit. Now in Azure, if you just want to test out the system, you get $100 credit, where like up to $100 you can purchase any of these services, and once the $100 is exhausted, you can like start like with the pay as you go model. So again, on AWS, I suppose even AWS has $100 or something. And Google Cloud Provider, I believe they have some term period where up to 10 to 15 days you can use any of their services, and later on you'll be charged. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ignatius, if you may, Azure has a particular offer for students, right, who are still studying in the university.
Yes.
So if
I
you
believe
can
you
just
can. Yeah. Just let me just check up on that.
okay.
Yeah, we do have, where again we get a $100 credit with Azure. So it is anyways, it is similar. Like even if you are testing it out, it's as similar as just what we at Crayon we call it as a POC, where we give some credit to our end customers and they can test it out. So I've shared a link where you'll get more insights about this. So again, as a student without a credit card, you'll be getting $100 credit, but again it will come with some limitations where instead of deploying the high-end machines, there are some limitations of the machines or services that you can deploy. So I've shared a link. You can just quickly go through it after the session, and like there you'll get more information on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so moving ahead with the Azure's core architectural components. So again, as I mentioned, we'll be focusing on Azure more. And the first thing that we need to know is the geographies. Now, geographies are nothing but discrete, markets. Now, markets as in like if you have heard about this term, data compliance policies. So each of these major areas, such as America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Africa, and Middle East, they have their own data compliance, that their data should not be either leaked outside the certain territory. So what Azure has done is they have created major markets, and in these major markets they have multiple regions. Now each region is nothing but it's basically a collection of a lot of data centers. Now data centers are like those huge buildings where like where the servers and all are located. And Azure, it provides more regions than any other cloud provider. It has more than 60 regions worldwide, out of which 3 regions are in India, and it has 130, like where each of these regions are connected to each other over 130,000 kilometers of fibers and subsea cable. And each of these regions can be connected via edge sites. So what is edge sites? Edge sites are nothing but your VPN endpoint. So usually we have two methods of connection. The first one is directly over the public internet. We can just enter the the public IP address of our network, and we can work around with it. Or what we can do is we can set up a VPN tunnel, where it is as the name suggests, it's a very secure tunnel over the public internet. The next thing that Azure provides is an express route. Now, what express route is? It's a very nice concept. Um, as we all know, VPN is nothing but creating a secure tunnel over the public internet. So what Azure has done is, for express route, they have partnered with a lot of internet providers, such as Vodafone, Reliance, and there are a lot of internet providers. And partnering with them, what if you are provisioning an express route, what they will do is they will set up a secondary network or a private network which does not go like flows through the public internet. So it's basically as simple or as similar as connecting your cloud network with your office network with just one single Ethernet cable. It is as simple as that. There is no public interference at all, and it really brings up with a proper data security and a lot of stuff. So yeah, this is about regions and the basic edge sites. Again, next thing that we need to know about availability zones. So availability zones are nothing but these are just physically separate locations. Now, as I mentioned, Azure has 3 regions in India. So let's say there are 3 regions. The first one is central. Then there is North India, and there is South India. So what we can do is, let's say if you're hosting something in South India, if you're running a virtual machine in South India, you can select an availability zone for North India. So what happens is, if you remember, I have mentioned this term platform independency in my initial slides. So what do I really mean about platform independency is, let's say if you are hosting a website, if you're running a website from your own house, okay, and there are 1,000 people who are trying to access your website from your home computer. So what do you need to make sure that everything is up and running? You need to make sure that first of all your computer is running. Second, you need to make sure that there is a proper electricity provided because obviously your computer is running. And the third one is you need to make sure that the computer is connected to the internet, which is accessible by the public 24/7. So just imagine, due to some unwanted reason, either the power goes off or your internet is shut down. Because of it, what will happen is your 1,000 users, they are affected by it, which means your 1,000 users are dependent on the platform that you are hosting in your own premises. So what again cloud does is, using availability zones, it gives you platform independency. Let's say if you're hosting something in South India and you have set up your second availability zone in North or Central India, due to some unwanted reasons, the South India servers go down. So what Azure will do is, it will automatically make sure that everything, like each of your users, are redirected to the availability zone, either your North or Central India. So what happens is your users or your system is not platform dependent. It becomes platform independent because irrespective of any of the anomalies or irrespective of any of the unwanted attacks or the servers are down, your users will be still be having access to your website or whatever services that you're holding. So yeah, this is how you truly it empowers the cloud computing. Again, it really brings down the cost. So again, as I mentioned, when you're hosting something on your own premises, there are a lot of underlying costs such as your data center cost, your networking cost, your electricity cost, and like there are some unwanted costs that come up during the runtime. And what happens over cloud is you only pay for three major stuff. First is the compute, where like whatever virtual machines or any servers that you're running, that cost. Second is the networking cost, like how much data is transferred through your network, through the cloud to the public internet, that cost. And the third one is the storage cost. So obviously there is a drastic reduction of cost from hosting it from your on premises to the um, cloud basically. Yeah, any queries till now? Okay, so moving ahead. Again, as I mentioned, there is a lot of cost optimization that goes from hosting it on premises to cloud. Apart from that, still there are a lot of measures where you can save up more cost. So again, performing cost analysis using the pricing calculator and the TCO calculator, monitoring the usage. There is a tool which is freely available, which is known as Azure Advisor. What it does is it basically monitors your resources, and based on the monitoring and based on the observation, it gives you a lot of suggestions. Then there is Azure reservations, where you can prepay for your resources. For example, if you are running a virtual machine, you can like prepay for the virtual machines for 1 year, and here you can save up to 72% of the cost. So, and again, obviously, just a minute. Okay, I hope there's no background interference from my end. So again, you can choose a low cost location, and you can, apply some tags to identify which resources is costing you how much. So that is also there. And you also have an Azure cost management tool where, it gives you like it gives you some, insights how much your resources are costing and stuff. So yeah. Any queries till now? Because now what I'll do is I'll just quickly shift to the pricing calculator where I'll just show you what resources are available on Azure. So any queries till now are really welcome. Okay, so moving ahead with the some in-depth services. So I just want to know what exactly does your organization do in general. So on the basis of that, will be
nothing.
Yes,
The presentation.
sorry.
The presentation is gone.
Yeah. Actually, stop sharing the screen. So I'll be showing some other resources. So
Yeah, Ignatius, this is not pertaining to organization per se, this particular session.
okay.
It is for the candidates, for them to understand and learn. So here we have someone outside the organization as well. They are here to learn and
Okay.
understand. And yes.
Sure. So what I'll do is actually this the presentation that I have is mainly on the business end. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly share the another pricing calculator where there is a list of a lot of resources. And once we go through them, I'll just quickly show you the Azure portal, like where do we deploy a virtual machines and stuff. Just a minute. Yeah. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, there are a lot of services which you can go through. The major services that Azure provides is the virtual machines, which are really popular in cloud. Virtual machines are nothing but whatever servers that you want to host. Your storage accounts, like wherever you want to store your data, which includes in a form of a file, which includes in a form of a disk. That, and we have app services. I'll come to this app services in a bit. So let's learn a bit about virtual machines. Just a minute. Yeah. So virtual machines, again, as the name suggests, it's a virtualization of whatever machines that we have. So on Azure, there is a lot of configurations that are available. So by configurations, I mean, there's a lot of combination of CPU and RAM. So as you can see, we can here we have both Linux and Windows machines. And when you go to the instance section, you can get a lot of combinations of virtual machines with starting from 2 core up to 20 or 64 core and CPUs and up to around 512 gigabyte of RAM, depending on what is the current requirements. So here you can also select the operating system, and you can also let us know as you know whether you want a SQL server or just the operating system. So you can do that as well. Again, before migrating to cloud, first thing that we need to understand is what is the current requirement. So currently, let's say if you want to host a specific website, okay. So again, what we usually can anyone let me know what are the resources, not on Azure, just on a hardware perspective, what will be required to run a specific website? Not just on cloud, just in basic, there will be on a development team as well, right? So I believe. So just a quick gist of what can be used to deploy your website. Anyone?
Web server.
Yes, absolutely correct. Web server. And anything else?
Browsing software.
Sorry.
Browsing software, database.
Yes, browsing
And
software database is absolutely correct. And
ID
IP address.
or like since the websites are developed in Java, if it is then the Java runtime
Yes.
is required.
Yes, absolutely correct.
JRE is required.
Yes. Okay. So thank you so much for the prompt. So yeah, we required web servers obviously, and we require a database server. So just like ma'am mentioned, we usually think like we need to we need to know what are the services that are required. Based on that, we will be sure to get any of these services on the cloud. So again, let's say if you want to host a web server, like a website, this is a pricing calculator on Azure. With which what we do is we can get an analysis or a cost analysis of how much it is going to cost when we are hosting on Azure. So again, let's say if you are hosting a website, just like I don't know who suggested. So the first thing that we require is an application server. Now, the application server, it can either be a Windows or a Linux machine. So we have the option of both Windows and Linux. And here, then secondly, what we do is we select the size of the machines, or like size as in what CPU and the RAM combination that we want. So usually like we can go for either 4 core and 16 GB RAM. That's not an issue. Again, on Azure or AWS or any other cloud, there are a lot of instance type. It starts with A series up to there is 10 series. This SAP HANA is a different thing. So each of these instances, they have a different meaning, and they like obviously even the combination of RAM and the CPU will be the same. So each of these instances they serve a different purpose. So what I'll do is I'll share and just give me a short reminder where I'll share the link where there is a information of which series can be used for what purpose. So since we are trying to run a website, we can go with the B series. And again, we can select, so I want 4 core 16 GB RAM server. The next thing that we need is a database server. Now on Azure or any other cloud provider, we can provision or we can host a database by two methods. The first thing is we can set up another virtual machine where we can install our database software, or we can use managed database, which makes it a bit easier. So on Azure, we have Azure Sql to do the same. So here we have Azure SQL database. Here again, it's a bit of a complex stuff. I hope I'm not boring with this. If you feel like it's a bit boring, just let me know. I'll just crack a joke or something. Okay, thank you.
Jokes are always welcome anyway.
Ignatius is good at cracking jokes. So if you want some kind of entertainment, please let us know. Ignatius will entertain.
Not prepared for the joke. I just say this for the purpose.
You can refer some Sardar jokes and crack here.
You can send a link of jokes though.
Yeah.
Can outsource from cloud as well.
Yes, all the cloud related jokes. I'll send.
Yes.
Anyway, so coming to the database part. So what we usually do is we can set up another virtual machine now for the application, or we use another managed service. So on cloud, when we move to cloud, it's not just about just the running up virtual machines or just spinning up servers and installing stuff into it. These days cloud has evolved to a certain level that whatever requirement that you have a managed service. So I know this cloud session, it's not like this 1 hour, 1 or 2 hour session is not enough. So I'm just trying to cover it up in the least way possible. So yeah, whenever you're trying to move on cloud, let's say if you want to host a database. So first thing is you can search for any managed service. So here on as a managed service, we have Azure SQL database, we have Azure Cosmos DB. Then again, there is a cognitive service, which is a bit different. Yeah, so we have Azure SQL database. We can use that as well. So diving deep into Azure SQL database. Again, if you want to have a single database, we can do that. If you want to host multiple databases in the same virtual machine or the same server, you can do that. Usually what we do for the security side, not the security, for the performance side, we select a single database and we go with the vCore model. So what happens is over here, let's say there are 2 cores. So whatever server that your managed database is running on, it will run on a dual core processor. So if you like let's say if you're developing something on your machine, okay, on your laptop or PC, and it is a 4-core processor. So out of this 4-core processor, what is happening is, let's say 1 core is dedicated for your operating system level task. 1 or 2 cores are for your application, and the remaining 1 core is just for database. So what happens is the performance might not be that good on your machine, but when you host it on cloud, it really makes a difference because it starts with 2 dedicated cores just for a database. So your transactions or whatever queries that you are running, they happen in an instant. And again, there is a licensing where you can either go for the license or there is a hybrid benefit. Now, hybrid benefits are nothing but if you have a license with you and it comes with a term called software assurance, you can really check up on that. It's a really good concept. You can just check up on software assurance of whatever licensing that you have. So what happens is, instead of like paying for the license, like purchasing the license again, you can use this Azure hybrid benefit, where using the same license, you can run the services on cloud. So like anyways, if you're moving on cloud, again, the most of the cost that comes is with the licensing. So right now, let's say if this service is costing me around $114, let me change it to INR. Oh yeah, again, the major benefit of Azure pricing calculator is it comes with like currency changer. On AWS, if you go, there's only $1. So let's say you're paying monthly 10,000 rupees just for the virtual machines. And when you go to Windows, if you go to license included, there is an additional cost. So if you want to save that, you can do that as well by using hybrid benefits. So hybrid benefit is nothing that, where your software licensing that you have, you can ask your vendor whether whatever licenses that you're purchasing. Also, please make a note, like in any future, distant future, if you purchase any license for any software these days, since it is a cloud computing era, in these days, just ask your software vendor whether the licenses that you are purchasing, it comes with software assurance or not. Because if it does not come with software assurance and you're trying to move it on cloud, that won't work. And if it comes with software assurance, you are in very good luck, because here you can use Azure hybrid benefits, and here you don't need to pay for any additional licensing. You can just use the specific license and then you're good to go. So yeah, again, you can have your this virtual machine, then this is your database. And the next thing in cloud, the most important thing in cloud, whenever you host or whenever you provision a cloud, you always need to think of your resources to be in a specific network. Even if you're hosting on AWS, you need to think of a network. And even if you're hosting it on Azure, you need to think of a network. So anyways, you first thing that you need to provision, or first thing that should come into your mind, is a virtual network. Virtual network, as in it's just a representation of your network, where like there can be multiple subnets, and there can be private IP addresses. So it's nothing but that. So it comes with a minimum cost around 300 to 400 rupees, nothing much. Depending on the location of, obviously we have, let's say we usually go for South India, since me and Ajish, we work on the South India part. So again, no major differences. So yeah, and apart from that, again, we need IP addresses as well. So even some IP addresses comes with a cost. So again, we have when you talk about IP addresses, we have two sorts of IP addresses. We have basic and we have standard. Now these basic IP addresses, they are nothing but like it's just a static IP addresses that we have. But there's a major difference which, like, whenever try to go onto a YouTube channel or something, they really don't explain about what standard IP address is. So like, have you ever come across this term as auto scaling? Like, it's a concept in cloud, auto scaling, if you have heard about it. So when we talk about auto scaling is nothing but, let's say if you have a web application, or you're having a web server. Okay. So depending on the load on the web application, just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So when we talk about auto scaling, it is nothing but let's say if you're hosting a website and you are hosting this. Let's say there is a virtual machine with 4 core and 16 GB RAM, and currently there are 1,000 users. So what happens is, if your website really gets famous like Facebook or Google, this 4 core and 16 GB won't be enough. Like, obviously there will be millions of users, so there will be a load on your website. So what auto scaling does is, it basically multiplies the servers. It replicates itself automatically. In order to do that, we also have a service called virtual machine scale sets. Just a minute. I'm just going through the list of the products that are provided. I hope I'm covering some theoretical parts as well. So what happens over here is, let's say if you have one single machine that is running and you need to provision, like at 7 o'clock there will be 1 million users that will be hitting this website, and one machine won't do the task. So in that case, you need to make sure that as soon as it's 9 o'clock, there is another machine which is running automatically with the code of your website, and it's serving the purpose. So which is where virtual machine scale sets come into picture. Here you can really, like, just upload the code into one machine and it will replicate itself based on the load or based on the timing that you have. Yeah. So again, coming to the IP addresses part. So what standard IP addresses it does is, it helps you, like, it supports load balancing. So again, as I mentioned, load balancing is nothing but make, like, there is let's say there is one machine running, there are two or three machines running. So there is a health check whether how much load is properly balanced to each of these machines. So yeah. So the standard IP addresses, they really support the load balancing feature. So which is why like, it is not mentioned anywhere, but internally, like, it's just a theory. So a very like a lot of people might miss out explaining why there is a difference between basic and standard. So yeah. Yeah, so these are the basic stuff that we use to just host a specific database. Sorry, a website. Apart from that, the cloud, again, it is not just limited to hosting a website. What some organizations do is, they have their backup services running. So they really want to make sure that the data that they are generating, it is backed up securely somewhere. So primary examples would be research labs. If you have heard, like, a lot of research labs, what they do is, whatever data or research the scientists are coming up with, they just keep a backup of it over the cloud. So what we do over here is, firstly we set up a proper VPN, like, and we help them with storage account. Storage account is nothing but, as the name suggests, it helps us with the storage requirements. So here we have a lot of storage types. There is a blob storage for your backups. There is a file storage, and we have data lake storage for database and stuff. We have managed disk. If you, let's say if you have a virtual machine running, Okay, and you want that it is supposed to have another additional data disk. So using managed disk, we can do that as well. We have, SSD, HDD, premium SSDs. So we have a lot of like storage options which are available for a lot of purposes, which includes backing up the data and making sure that the disks are running. Sorry, the data is backed up. Okay, so the next major feature that like I really wanted to highlight is the app services. So previously when I asked like what are the services that you require to run a specific website. So yes, someone mentioned proper runtime environment, right? Yeah. So again, when you talk about a virtual machine, what happens in the virtual machine is uh, just a minute. Yeah, what happens in a virtual machine is you just get the operating system, but on top of that, again, you'll have to connect it and you'll have to um, connect it and connect to it and install all your softwares and dependencies and all the libraries. What happens on app services over here you just select the operating system and using the Azure portal or whatever, like you can connect it to via command line tool. You can select what application you are trying to host. So let's say if you're trying to host a Java based application, you get the Java runtime pre-configured with this app service. If you want to have a JSP.NET, sorry, a JSP web server, you can do that as well. And let's say if you want to have host a ASP.NET website, you can do that as well. So using this app services, it is nothing. It is a complete example of a platform as a service, where on top of the virtual machines that you are like, let's say we have performance tiers. On top of these virtual machines, like with some pre-configuration, you get your additional runtime or additional tools installed. Yep, and yeah, I think this covers a lot of stuff. So we spoke about virtual machines, we spoke about app services, Azure SQL database, and storage account. Okay, any queries till now? Like, do you have any query? Let's say if we can just come up with any scenario. Just like I mentioned, I gave just a simple example about a website. Apart from that, if any other service comes to your mind, we can talk about that, and we can really talk about how to provision that service on Azure. Does anything comes to your mind? Like, okay, there's another scenario that I'd like to talk about. So recently, as we all know, 2 or 3 years ago, we started working from home. Okay, and a lot of organizations they faced an issue where they wanted to provision, like they wanted to provide their employees laptops or machines, but they wanted to make sure. Just a minute. Yeah, but they wanted to make sure that whatever laptops or machines that they want to, give to their employees, they wanted to make sure that they are running according to the company policies. So, for instance, they just wanted to make sure that the users they don't install their necessary application, like they don't install any other application than what is provided, and they don't want to have their data to be leaked, such as very just copying it in a pen drive and something. So making sure that it is secure and yeah, there are a lot of parameters that the employers were worried about. So which is where again cloud computing came into picture, and it on Azure there's a service which we call it Azure Virtual Desktop. This is a really nice service which is provided by Azure. So what here it does is on Azure Virtual Desktop, it really provides each of your employees or each of your users with its own unique desktop experience, like a unique desktop over the cloud. So after provisioning it for, let's say, around 500 users or so, over the cloud, what you guys need to do is you just need to connect to your certain company domain, and in your company domain, you'll be getting your own personalized desktop, which has all your company policies that were applied to it. Then there is this, and apart from that, we can also provision firewall. If you have heard about firewall, like it is nothing but it provides an additional security layer where you can just set up some rules so that no other additional like to prevent some attacks, or making sure that no other website is trying to access, or the users are not um, you know accessing any website which is not compliant by the company policies. So yeah, there are a lot of features. There is a lot of stuff which really is provided by Azure. I'll just share a link of the resources as well as a short course material which will help you to understand the core services of Azure. So I think any queries from your end?
I like to ask one question. If there is Azure offering any free courses in basic beginner level?
Yeah, you can start with the basic course, which is known as AZ 900, and it also has its own student program. Just a minute. So there's a roadmap. Just a second, I'll mm, just explain with the image on Google only directly, then that will be better. So yeah, the first thing that you need to learn about is the core fundamental of Azure. So you can start with the AZ 900. I'll share the the course materials, the links, and the student exam vouchers also, like the links for those vouchers. So like whatever link is there are available with me for the student exams and stuff with the student discount, I'll just share it with Ajish and he'll forward it to you. So the first thing that you can start with is the fundamentals, which is nothing but the AZ 900. So what AZ 900 does is it will give you an overview of all the services which are provided by Azure. So right now I just explained about the virtual machines and some Azure SQL database and the storage account. So apart from that, there are more than 400 resources on Azure which are available. So this AZ 900 will just give an overview of that, which will really help you with understanding what are the services provided by Azure. After that, once you understand everything, you can go ahead to pursue this AZ-104. Now, even I am AZ-104 certified. So here it will show you how do we configure, how do we spin up a virtual machine, how do we set up a virtual network, and like how do we connect a VPN endpoint, how do we set up an Azure virtual desktop. So whatever provisioning and minor configuring of these services, you will be taught with AZ-104. And simple on the similar terms, if you are more into the development than the infrastructure management, you can go ahead with AZ-203. But again, I'll prefer AZ-104 because like on cloud, we just need to know how do we provision and configure the services. So you can go ahead with AZ-104. And once you're done with AZ-104, just get a good experience, like at least 6 to 8 months of experience on any cloud platform, hands-on. Then you can really go for the expert level, such as AZ-304 and 303. So these certificate will really make a huge impact on your cloud journey. Like literally, like there are a lot of employers who want to hire AZ-303 or 304 certified cloud architect. And apart from that, what you can do is you can start learning on DevOps, if you have heard, where like there are a lot of services such as Kubernetes, Ansible, then there is Jenkins. So once you are familiar with these tools, irrespective of this part, you can apply for AZ 400. So like it's a simple roadmap. Like what I just explained was a basic of AZ 900. Then you can go ahead with 104, where you'll be learning how to configure everything, and then later on expert, where there are some troubleshootings and like internal configuration. Then like, a lot of expert level insights you'll get on the AZ 303.
Okay. You can get the certificate from their Azure itself.
Yeah, like these are global certificates, and again, AZ900 is a lifetime certificate, but rest of them, these are limited for 5 years, I believe. Now, AZ104 it expires every 5 years because again, it's a certificate which like people rarely pursue, and a lot of services change internally on Azure. So, being an Azure associate, you'll have to renew the certificate every 5 years. So again, it comes with a basic fee like around 1500 or something for the students, which you can pursue. And then, yeah, obviously after 5 years, you have to renew this. The same goes for AZ303. Yes, any other query?
To do this courses, it's like you require hardware knowledge as well, right?
Again, if you don't have a basic hardware knowledge, you can start with AZ900, where obviously you'll be introduced with the core hardware components and terminologies. So, like even if there is like when there is zero knowledge of any of the hardware components, you can directly go ahead with AZ900. Otherwise, what some people do is since they are I guess most of you guys are from the development, so you are aware of a lot of coding and hardware terminologies. So you can directly pursue AZ104, but still I'll prefer to start with AZ900. Yeah, but again, in cloud, um, hardware knowledge is it's relevant and it's important actually. So you can start with AZ900. So even if you have zero hardware knowledge, not a that's not an issue.
Okay.
So many other queries? And then I believe if there is any other query, you can reach out to Ajish. And like what I can do is like there are a lot of services which cannot be covered into just one session. So if there are any queries related to any of these services that are there on Azure, you can just reach out to us. We'll surely help you out explaining these in detail actually.
Sure, Ignatius.
I believe think
Ajit
that's it.
has left.
He left.
Yeah.
Okay.
He called me. We had to have some emergency.
Yes, understood.
Take care of, so that's the call. He asked me to inform you.
Sure. So if there are any queries, you can reach out to him. He'll surely let us know, and we can have another session on one of the important services. So I think if there are no queries, we can wrap up the sessions.
Yes, sure.
So then, thank you so much for joining this late, and again, apologies for the delay.
No
Do
worries.
if there are any other queries, we'll surely help out. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you. So guys, I hope the course was helpful. Right?
Yes,
So
bro.
did you guys learn anything new today? Am I not audible? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So we can wind up for the day then,
Okay.
right?